Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive?
Always.
We're tackling the name Karen today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a wild ride.
I bet.
This name's got so much baggage, you know?
More than meets the eye, for sure.
We've got a great video lined up to help us unpack it all.
Awesome.
So let's start at the beginning, Karen. It comes from Catherine, right?
Yep. Good old Catherine. Greek origin meaning pure.
Cure? Huh.
Yep, for centuries. Catherine in all its variations.
Like Karen.
Exactly. They've been tied to all these positive qualities.
Like what?
Clarity, innocence, integrity, you name it.
Wow.
You can see why it was so popular for baby girls way back when.
When was that?
Think like the 1940s through the 60s, especially in the U.S.
Huh. The good old days.
Yeah, it's almost like the name captured the vibe of that whole era, you know?
Makes you wonder if anyone listening knows a Karen from back then.
Right. I bet they totally embody that classic image of the name.
Strong and kind.
Exactly.
It's funny, though, because today, Karen kind of has a different image.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
It's like, how did we go from pure to that?
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room.
It really is. How did that happen?
So how did we get here? How'd Karen become, well, Karen?
Oh, man, that's the million-dollar question.
What do you think?
I think it's probably a bunch of things mixed together.
Like what?
You've got social media trends, changing ideas about, well, being assertive.
Especially for women.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super important to remember that stereotypes,
Right, they can be so misleading.
definitely, they might have a tiny bit of truth in them sometimes, but
But they get blown way out of proportion.
100%.
Makes you realize how much words matter.
Oh, yeah.
How a simple label can really affect people.
Powerful stuff.
But hey, before we get too deep into that,
Yeah,
let's take a quick trip around the world.
sounds fun.
Because Karen has some pretty cool variations depending on where you go.
It does. Shows you how universal names can be.
Right. Like no matter what language you speak or what culture you come from.
We all have this shared experience.
I'm giving names.
Exactly. So, for instance, in German-speaking countries, Karen often gets shortened to Corinne.
Corinne, I like that.
Right. It's got that sleek, modern feel.
It does.
But my personal favorite,
Oh, tell me.
the Japanese version.
What is it?
Wow, how do you even say that?
I don't know, but it means flower lotus.
The flower lotus. Now, that is beautiful.
Right.
You can't get more pure than that.
And the imagery is just stunning.
It really ties back to the original Karen meaning, too.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the history, the cultural shifts, the global variations.
What else is there?
What other secrets does Karen hold?
Well, let's get a little mystical, shall we?
Oh,
Did you know Karen has connections to numerology and astrology?
get out of here.
I'm serious.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So in numerology, Karen is linked to the number 7.
7.
Yep. And 7 is all about introspection, analytical thinking, that constant search for knowledge.
Picture a Karen, deep in thought, lost in a book, working on a puzzle.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
It's like this powerful connection to deep thinking.
And that whole quest for understanding,
Exactly.
it makes sense when you think about the traditional Karen image.
Right. Someone with integrity, a strong sense of right and wrong,
Like they're always trying to figure things out.
always seeking the truth.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And then there's the astrology connection.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Karen is often associated with Mercury,
The planet.
the one and only.
Wow.
And Mercury is all about communication and intelligence.
So Karen is like super smart.
Well, it suggests they're naturally curious, quick-witted, good at connecting with people.
Through words and ideas.
Exactly. It's like Mercury gives them this gift for expressing all those deep thoughts.
The ones they get from all that introspection.
Precisely.
So Karen is pure, introspective, communicative.
What else could there be?
What about colors? Any idea what colors match the Karen vibe?
Oh, I love this game.
Oh, yeah.
Lay it on me. The colors most associated with Karen are green and white.
Green and white. Interesting.
Yeah, so green embodies growth, stability, compassion.
Like being grounded and connected to the world.
Exactly. While white represents purity, peace, new beginnings.
That totally reflects the core meaning of the name.
It does, doesn't it?
I love how green combines both growth and stability.
Yeah, it's like Karen represents moving forward in life.
While staying true to your roots.
Absolutely. Suggests someone balanced and adaptable.
And then white comes in to reinforce that whole purity thing.
Brings it all full circle.
It really is amazing how much color can add to our understanding of a name.
Right. It's like each color paints a different part of the picture.
Speaking of pictures, we got to talk about pop culture, right?
We do.
It feels like Karen is everywhere these days.
On TV and movies.
And name it.
Pop culture definitely shapes how we see names.
And Karen has had some pretty memorable moments.
It has.
Like, take Karen Walker from Will and Grace, for example.
Oh, yeah. She was great.
She brought that sassy, quick-witted energy to the name.
Total Mercury vibe.
And then there's Karen from Mean Girls.
Oh, boy.
Let's just say she added a different layer to the Karen image.
She did.
But hey, even though they're fictional,
True.
these characters are part of the Karen story.
They reflect how pop culture can both reinforce and challenge us.
It's wild how one name can be so many things.
It is.
But let's not forget the real-life Karens who have made a difference.
Oh, yeah. There are some inspiring figures out there.
From music legends to authors.
Accomplished women who share this name.
They add so much depth to the whole Karen image.
It's a reminder that there's always more to a name than meets the eye.
Ready for a quick lightning round?
Hit me.
First up, Karen Carpenter.
The legend.
Singer and drummer of the Carpenters, that incredible voice, those unforgettable melodies.
Next, we have Karen Allen.
Brilliant actress, stole our hearts in Indiana Jones.
And, of course, Karen O.
The electrifying lead singer of the...
Yeah. It's that unique style, powerful stage presence. Don't forget Karen Blixen.
Oh, yeah, the amazing Danish author of Out of Africa.
Fun fact, she wrote under the pen name Isak Dinesen.
Really? Why do you think she did that?
It makes you think, doesn't it?
About the power of names.
And how sometimes people want to keep their personal and professional identities separate.
Especially in creative fields.
A name can be like a brand.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground already.
From ancient Greece to pop culture icons.
The name Karen has taken us on quite a journey.
It really shows how language and culture are intertwined.
Okay, take a deep breath, everyone.
Why?
We're about to go even deeper into the world of Karen.
I can't wait.
Get ready for some seriously fascinating insights.
Let's do it. Names really do take on a life of their own, don't they?
It's true, like they become part of the culture.
Yeah, separate from the actual people who have the name.
It's kind of like language is always changing, right?
Oh, for sure.
Names reflect our values, our biases.
Our humor, even.
And speaking of humor, one of the things that's interesting about the whole Karen thing...
What's that?
It's how it's become this big meme.
Oh, totally. It's like that cultural shorthand, you know?
For a certain type of behavior.
Exactly. You see it everywhere, online, comedy shows, even the news.
It's crazy.
It really shows how language can be used in so many ways.
To criticize, to entertain.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But, of course, we got to remember.
What's that?
Not every Karen fits the stereotype.
Right, we can't generalize.
It's important to remember that.
Okay, so we've talked about the cultural side of Karen.
Yeah.
But what about the deeper meaning, the symbolic stuff?
Oh, yeah. We touched on numerology and astrology before.
Is there more to that?
There's always more to uncover. Let's go back to that number 7 connection.
Okay, the introspection, analysis, all that.
Exactly. And those qualities can be both good and bad, you know.
How so?
Well, think about it. Someone named Karen might be super self-aware.
Because they're always looking inward.
Yeah, they're always thinking things through, analyzing situations.
That could make them great problem solvers.
Definitely. And insightful friends, too.
But too much of that could be a problem.
Oh, yeah. Too much introspection can lead to overthinking.
And self-doubt.
Exactly. And too much analysis can make it hard to actually do anything.
Because you're stuck in your head.
Yep. Weighing all the possibilities.
Classic analysis paralysis.
That's it.
So it's about finding a balance.
Between thinking and doing, exactly.
And that's where Mercury comes in.
The communication planet, remember?
Yeah, it encourages Karen to express all those thoughts.
The insights they get from introspection.
It's like Mercury helps them bridge that gap.
Between their inner world and the outer world.
That's a cool way to think about it.
Right. So Mercury helps Karen communicate those deep thoughts.
So they can share them with the world.
Exactly.
Like it.
And that Mercury connection also highlights their potential for wit and adaptability.
And that love of learning.
Exactly. It's like Karen is on this lifelong quest for knowledge.
Always wanting to connect with people through ideas.
Spot on.
Okay, this is awesome. We're really peeling back the layers here.
Aren't we?
One last question on the symbolism before we move on.
Sure.
We talked about green and white being the Karen colors.
Yeah.
But are there other symbolic connections?
Like what?
Like animals, gemstones, elements, anything like that?
That's a great question. When you think about Karen,
The purity, the strength, the resilience.
a few symbols definitely come to mind.
Like what?
Well, how about the swan?
A swan.
It's a powerful symbol of transformation and inner beauty.
Graceful, elegant, but also fierce.
Those are all Karen traits.
I love that. The swan is such a perfect image.
Strength and grace all in one.
What about gemstones? Any Karen gemstones?
Pearls, for sure.
Pearls, yeah, those have that classic elegance.
And they're associated with purity.
That ties back to the original meaning.
It does.
Pearls are a great choice. Strong but refined.
Exactly.
Okay, what about elements? Does Karen have an element?
If we think about Karen and introspection,
And communication.
the element of air comes to mind.
Air. How so?
Well, air represents intellect, ideas, expression,
It's what allows communication to happen.
and thoughts to flow.
So Karen embodies that.
Yeah, that power of air to connect us through words and understanding.
It's like the name itself carries that energy.
Of communication and connection, exactly.
Wow. We've gone from ancient Greece to swans and curls and air.
It's quite a journey.
Who knew a single name could hold so much?
It's amazing, isn't it?
But now I gotta ask,
What's that?
knowing all this, how do we make sense of it all?
What do you mean?
The traditional Karen versus the modern stereotype.
Oh, how do we hold those two ideas in our minds?
Yeah, they seem so different.
Well, I think it comes down to recognizing that language is complex.
And meanings change over time,
Exactly. The name Karen has both positive and challenging associations.
just like people, right?
Exactly. We're all a mix of good and bad, light and shadow.
It reminds us that labels can't capture the whole person.
Nope, we're all so much more than that.
We're a mix of strengths, weaknesses, experiences.
All those things shape who we are.
That's a good point.
It's important to approach each other with curiosity.
And empathy.
Try to see beyond the surface.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that names are more than just labels,
They're stories, histories, symbols,
waiting to be explored.
and maybe most importantly,
What's that?
they're invitations to connect with each other,
If you go deeper,
to look past stereotypes and see the beauty in our differences.
beautifully said. It's about recognizing that language can both connect and divide,
And we have the choice to use it for good.
to build bridges instead of walls.
That's powerful. This has been such a thought-provoking dive into Karen.
It has. We've learned so much about its history, its meaning, its impact,
And I hope it's gotten everyone thinking about names and identity.
and the power of language.
But wait, there's even more to come. All right, we're back.
Ready for part 3.
We've talked about the history, the symbolism, the cultural stuff,
What else is there?
the people, the actual Karens.
Right. The real people behind the name.
What's it like to be a Karen today?
That's a good question.
With all the baggage and the stereotypes?
You can't forget about the individuals, right?
The real people with their own lives and experiences.
Exactly. It's so important to remember that.
Makes you think about how a name can affect your identity.
Whether you want it to or not.
Imagine being a Karen today
Oh, yeah.
and having to deal with all those preconceived notions.
Every time you introduce yourself.
Oof. Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
It's definitely a unique situation.
Like you're always trying to reconcile
Reconcile what?
your own sense of self.
With how everyone else sees you.
Exactly, like with the cultural image of Karen.
It's almost like this extra layer of meaning they have to carry around.
I bet it takes a lot of strength
Strength and self-awareness, for sure.
to embrace the positive side of the name.
And to deal with the negative stuff, too.
So what advice would you give to a Karen who's struggling with all that?
That's a good question. I'd say remember the true meaning of your name.
Catherine, pure.
Exactly. There's so much history and beauty there.
Focus on that.
And think about all the amazing women who share your name.
Karen Carpenter, Karen Blixen.
Karen Ellen.
They show what Karen can represent.
The strength, the creativity, the resilience.
Draw inspiration from their stories.
And don't be afraid to challenge those stereotypes.
Show the world what Karen really means to you.
Use your actions, your personality.
Let those speak louder than any label.
Yeah, turn this whole challenge into an opportunity.
Redefine the narrative.
Use your voice to create positive associations.
It's about reclaiming your identity.
Defining Karen on your own terms.
I love that.
It all comes down to empowerment, really.
We all have the power to shape our own stories.
And to change how people see us.
This deep dive into Karen has been amazing.
It really has. We've gone from ancient Greece to modern day memes.
We've talked about symbolism, culture, identity,
It's been quite a journey.
and I hope it's gotten everyone thinking.
About names, about stereotypes, about the power of language.
It's been awesome exploring all this with you.
Likewise.
And for everyone listening, we want to hear from you.
What does Karen mean to you?
Have you ever thought about how names can affect people's lives?
Share your thoughts, share your experiences.
Until next time, keep diving deep.